Naturally, men and women have bodies and organisms mechanically designed to function perfectly for survival. But especially women, they have organs that are perfectly suited to creating another human being. This is a gift of divine nature that was given to women, to generate another being in their uterus. In this process, everything started with the ovary. The ovary has more than 500,000 ovum embedded in several follicles, and so the ovum mature with each cycle. The dominant follicle grows to about 2 centimeters, and the defibrillated end of the fallopian tube that eventually captures the ovum moves to the site of ovulation. The ovum consists of an outer layer called corona radiata. Below there is another protective layer, the zona pellucida. Both layers must be penetrated by the sperm to reach the nucleus of the cell, which contains 23 different chromosomes. Each chromosome contains DNA. DNA is the perfect blueprint for building the cells of our body, the size of our body, the color of our eyes and hair, the arrangement and function of our organs. It is all there if 2 identical chromosomes occur in a cell. Later we can talk about a trisomy. Then, the ovum is transported within the fallopian tube, with the help of secretion and mucus produced by the glands in the walls of the fallopian tube, also with the help of additional contractions of the muscle layers that help transport the ovum. At a speed of about 3 to 4 millimeters per minute, something else appears on the other side of the fallopian tube, thousands of nearly invisible sperm and cells. They all have just one goal: to reach the egg. The nucleus of each sperm contains the man's genetic information through messages emitted by the egg, and the remaining sperm reach the egg. The goal of all sperm is to penetrate the outer 2 layers to reach the chromosomes. From there, the sperm penetrates the corona radiata and zona pellucida, resulting in the manipulation of a chromosomal capacity. Upon entering the cytoplasm, fertilization occurs, resulting in activation. The activation causes, among other things, instantly, a structural chain of the zona pellucida, so that no more sperm can penetrate. Furthermore, activation causes the egg to complete its second maturation division. In this process, the sister chromatids are pulled to opposite poles and a female pronucleus and polar body are formed. The tail and head of the sperm gradually degenerate in the cytoplasm. The condensed sperm nucleus rapidly increases enormously in size and the chromatin decondenses. Thus a male pronucleus is formed with 23 unreplicated chromosomes that carry the genetic information of the father. As the 2 pronuclei come closer together, they both duplicate their DNA, resulting in replicated chromosomes, and finally synchrony occurs where the pronuclei dissolve and the male and female chromosomes become properly aligned. In the fusiform apparatus, the cell is now called a zygote, which is the first cell of the new human being. In this process the cleavage phase begins. The cell continues dividing into 2 cells, then 4, then 8, from 16 to an embryo of 32 cells. In the cellular phase, we speak of mural. As the shape resembles a mulberry tree, the cells are still surrounded by the zona pellucida. Therefore, after each cell division, while the number of cells increases, the size of each cell decreases. Finally the blastocyst is formed. The blastocyst consists of a cavity filled with liquid, the cells of the embryoblast and trophoblast. The embryoblast is the initial structure of the new human being, the trophoblast being the origin of the placenta and membranes. Let's see the individual stages of fertilization of the fallopian tube. Fertilization occurs at the end of the tube. The first cell division occurs about a day after fertilization. Eventually other cell divisions occur, forming the murala, and in the uterus the blastocyst is created. In this phase, the mucous membranes of the uterus have already been prepared for implantation of the blastocyst. The blastocyst is usually implanted in the posterior wall of the uterus. However, implantation can also occur laterally, as we will see below. The blastocyst floats in the protective uterine mucus and nutritious for implantation in the uterus. The blastocyst must first hatch from the protective zona pellucida, then the blastocyst advances and further into the uterine lining, like a parasite. Let's take a closer look at this. The endometrium has a protective epithelium and capillaries filled with blood, as well as mucus-producing glands. Trophoblastic cells fuse with the endometrium and a central region forms trophoblast that will nourish the embryo beyond. From the hypoblast and the epiblast arise from the embryoblast. The hypoblast and epiblast arise from the embryoblast. The embryo penetrates further into the endometrium, rapidly increasing cell mass and leaving a wound that can result in completely harmless implantation bleeding. Finally, the amniotic cavity is formed. As the process continues, the yolk sac is created as well as a non-cellular plug which is subsequently sealed by migrating uterine epithelial cells. The trophoblast rapidly increases in size, with the amniotic cavity and yolk sac remaining relatively small, which gives rise to the chorionic cavity and corporal stalk. 3 germ layers form from the primitive streak and the node. This process is called gastrulation. The germ layers ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm eventually differentiate into various tissues and organs. During the third week of development, neuralization occurs at this time when the basis for the central nervous system is laid, the neural groove is formed, closing from the center to the sides on the sides. Small protrusions called somites can be seen. The neural groove becomes the neural tube that later forms, for example, the spinal cord and the brain. Music, these cells later become the neural networks that allow us to think, music. In the fourth week of development this process is almost complete, the embryo is still in the amnion that. It is filled with amniotic fluid that has numerous functions. The optic plates that are the bases of the inner ear can be seen, and a heart already pumps blood through the intra-embryonic blood vessels. The yolk sac and stalk continue to nourish the embryo. The chorion is the outer membrane and is connected to the stem of the body. The chorionic villi are surrounded by maternal blood, which allows them to transport nutrients to the embryo and nourish it. We will see more about this later. During the fourth week, 3 pairs of pharyngeal arches appear. In addition, the upper limb buds are visible first, followed by the lower limb buds. The embryo is now curved in a C shape. The caudal eminence is shaped like A until the somites that give rise to the cells that form skeletal muscles and skin components, among other things, can still be identified. Music, the embryo continues to grow rapidly, measuring approximately 4 to 5 millimeters at the end of the fourth. In the week in which the lens placodes and olfactory fossae are formed, the posterior arms and hands, as well as the legs and feet, can already be clearly identified. Hands will develop from paddles to separate fingers by about the 8th week. Music, the embryo is about 23 millimeters long in the middle of the 8th week. The legs will not lose their webbed feet until a few days after the hands. Music, embryogenesis transforms into fetal genesis in the 9th week and 3rd month, that is, from the 12th week onwards, the fetus already has a human appearance. Music, the eyelids are closed, the skin becomes translucent. In the following weeks the fetus grows and ossification of the fetal skeleton occurs so that the bones are clearly visible on ultrasound images by the 16th week. Furthermore, the body is completely covered with downy wool hair that helps, among other things, to maintain the vernix secreted by dedicated cells in the skin. The vernix protects the skin from direct contact with the amniotic fluid of. Around the 18th week the mother can feel the baby's movements. In addition, the sucking reflex is already established by the 28th week. The hair on the head, eyebrows and eyelashes continue to grow. In addition, the eyes open. The fetus gains a lot of mass in the last few months and the latter become hairy and the vernix gradually disappears. It is also becoming increasingly tighter on the mother's belly. At first the fetus is supplied by the body stalk and yolk sac, but later increasingly by the umbilical cord and placenta. Since the fetus has the DNA of both the mother and the father, the blood of the fetus must not mix with the blood of the mother. The placenta is responsible for the exchange of substances between the mother and the fetus. The chorionic villi that were previously completely distributed by the chorion, they have regressed to other parts of the uterus. The remaining villi are part of the placenta. The maternal blood rich in oxygen and nutrients enters the intervillar space through the arteries. The veins carry away the blood poor in oxygen and nutrients. Music, the chorionic villi extract necessary oxygen and nutrients from the mother's body. The nutrients in the blood include carbohydrates, amino acids, fats, vitamins and iron. The oxygen and nutrients are then transported to the fetus through the veins with the help of the umbilical cord. However, waste also reaches the villi through the arteries, which allows the fetus to release its waste products such as carbon dioxide and urea into the maternal blood. The mother's body then takes over the excretion of these substances. After about 38 weeks the fetus is fully developed, measuring 50 centimeters and weighing around 4,000 grams. Birth occurs at any time or even within the next 2 to 4 weeks. Thus completing a perfect cycle of forming a life, day by day, step by step, cell by cell. The moment of birth is really close. The baby is ready to discover the world and, without a doubt, realize the miracle of life. Have you ever thanked your mother? Have you ever reflected on the incredible journey she went through for you? Motherhood is a gift, and every mother is a hero. Share this video with someone you love. Together, let us celebrate life and honor all mothers. Subscribe to our channel, leave your like and share this message of love and gratitude. See you soon.